Childlike versus childish. Know the difference or stay stuck. Welcome back, I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and this is the Inner Child series. Let's make something clear right now. If you don't understand the difference between being childlike and being childish, you're going to stay stuck. You'll either bury your joy to avoid being seen as immature, or you'll spiritualize your tantrums and call them truth. Both are traps, and both will kill your growth. Because here's the core issue. Most people don't know where sacred wonder ends and emotional avoidance begins. They confuse immaturity with innocence. They reject their magic because they've never been taught the difference between raw aliveness and regressed behavior. This confusion isn't random, it's systemic. From a young age, we were told to grow up, to act our age, to stop being silly, to stop being emotional. We were trained to believe that play was wasteful, that imagination was childish, that joy was naive. And so we buried our inner child, not because she was weak, but because we thought she made us weak. We misunderstood her essence. And now, as adults, we either suppress her completely or we let her run wild without guidance. Neither is integration, and neither leads to power. Let's define this clearly. Being childlike is a sacred quality. It is the part of you that is curious, spontaneous, joyful, and emotionally honest. Childlike energy is your connection to wonder. It is where creativity, innovation, play, and authenticity come from. It is the open-hearted, soul-aligned, truth-telling aspect of you that hasn't been jaded by the world. Being childlike keeps your nervous system soft, your spirit engaged, and your capacity for vision alive. It is not regression, it is wisdom. Because wonder is a higher intelligence. Being childish, on the other hand, is what happens when emotional maturity has been bypassed. It's the part of you that throws tantrums instead of having conversations. That blames instead of taking responsibility. That shuts down when things get hard. That demands attention without offering accountability. Childishness is not about innocence, it's about avoidance. It is not about joy, it's about entitlement. And most importantly, it is not the inner child. It's the wounded child acting out through the adult who refuses to grow up emotionally. This distinction matters more than people realize. Because in personal development spaces, especially in the spiritual or creative world, a lot of adults are performing childlike energy when they're actually being childish. They're not expressing sacred play, they're escaping responsibility. They're using, "I'm just being my inner child," as a shield against feedback, as a justification for chaos, as an excuse to not evolve. That's not healing, that's hiding. Let's go deeper. When you're being childlike, you can hold joy and responsibility in the same hand. You can take your work seriously without taking yourself seriously. You can dream big and still do the work to build it. You can have emotional honesty without emotional chaos. You can be soft without being passive, playful without being reckless, and expressive without being explosive. Childlike energy is the secret weapon of highly creative, emotionally intelligent adults who have reclaimed their original essence and brought it forward with maturity. Childish energy, by contrast, resists discomfort. It avoids feedback. It wants the reward without the effort. It seeks validation instead of truth. And it often masquerades as authenticity when it's actually a fear response. Childishness is not rooted in presence. It's rooted in emotional overwhelm. When someone is being childish, what you're seeing is an adult who is still reacting to life from an unhealed emotional age. They may be 40 in body, but they're 5 in reaction. And unless they recognize that, they'll keep playing out those patterns and calling it personality. This is why your power depends on knowing the line. If you don't reclaim your childlike energy, you'll lose your joy. You'll become rigid, overly serious, disconnected from your passion, and unable to access the kind of flow that magnetizes success. But if you stay childish, you'll burn bridges, create chaos, and sabotage opportunities because emotional reactivity will outweigh emotional responsibility. One keeps you small through suppression. The other keeps you stuck through immaturity. Neither one is liberation. Liberation comes from integration. To be integrated means to carry your inner child with you, not to let her run your life, and not to exile her either. It means you build a relationship with her. Honor her wonder, listen to her fear, and guide her with your adult wisdom. That's the key. Your adult self must lead. Your inner child is sacred, but she's not supposed to be in charge. If she's driving, your life will be impulsive, erratic, chaotic, and emotionally unstable. If she's silenced, your life will feel dry, flat, over-controlled, and deeply unfulfilling. Integration means she gets a seat at the table, but not the head of it. Let's make this real. Let's say you're in a relationship. Your partner sets a boundary. A childish reaction might look like pouting, guilt-tripping, becoming passive-aggressive, or making everything about you. A childlike response would be feeling the hurt, acknowledging the emotion, and having a curious, emotionally honest conversation about it without making your partner responsible for soothing your abandonment wound. That's the difference. The same trigger, 2 very different levels of self-awareness. Or let's say your business launch doesn't go well. The childish part of you might spiral, blame your audience, quit suddenly, or sink into self-loathing. The childlike part of you might feel disappointed, but then get curious, get creative, and come back with new ideas. She doesn't take it personally. She knows how to play again. That's the sacred resilience of childlike energy. It doesn't collapse, it bounces. Or maybe you get rejected by a friend, a client, an opportunity. The childish part might say, they never liked me anyway, or lash out, or retreat into bitterness. The childlike part says, that stung, but I still know who I am. I still believe in my vision. Childlike energy lets you process pain without turning it into a personality. See the difference? Childlike energy creates. Childish energy reacts. Childlike energy invites. Childish energy demands. Childlike energy collaborates. Childish energy competes. Childlike energy stays soft. Childish energy manipulates. And here's the trap. Society has conditioned us to fear both. We were taught that childlike joy is weakness, that softness is unprofessional, that creativity is a luxury. And at the same time, we were never taught how to emotionally mature. So we end up swinging between repression and regression. We either harden to survive or collapse to cope. And in both states, we lose our power. The antidote is integration. The solution is emotional leadership. Emotional leadership means you know how to hold your inner child's pain without acting it out. You can feel the trigger, but choose the response. You can acknowledge your feelings without weaponizing them. You can stay grounded in your adult self while offering love, safety, and support to the younger part of you that got activated. This is the work. You don't kill your inner child. You raise her. You don't shame her out of existence. You sit with her, you validate her, and you guide her. You don't let her make your business decisions, but you absolutely invite her into your creative process. You don't let her run your relationships, but you absolutely listen when she says, this doesn't feel safe. You don't become childish and call it healing, and you don't become hardened and call it maturity. The goal is not to live from one or the other. The goal is to become whole. And wholeness requires nuance. Being childlike will fuel your business with joy. It will make your art magical. It will make your leadership magnetic. But being childish will ruin your credibility, break trust, and confuse vulnerability with volatility. This is why people fear emotional honesty, because they've only ever seen it weaponized. They've never seen it led. You get to be emotional without being messy. You get to be expressive without being explosive. You get to feel deeply without making others responsible for your pain. That's the difference between immaturity and integration. And when you live from that space where your inner child is honored, held, and healthily expressed, you become unstoppable. Because now your joy is stable. Your vision is pure. Your energy is clean. You're not leaking. You're leading. You're not reacting. You're responding. You're not performing healing. You're living it. So if you've ever been told you're too much or too sensitive or too emotional, don't shrink. But also, don't spiral. Learn the difference. Know the line. Because your childlike energy is sacred. But without maturity, it can easily flip into chaos. And that's what keeps people stuck flipping between suppression and explosion, control and collapse. But when you know the difference, when you choose the childlike wonder while holding the emotional responsibility, you're not just healing. You're evolving. You're setting a new standard for what it means to be fully alive, fully expressed, and emotionally mature at the same time. So ask yourself, am I being childlike or childish? Am I expressing emotion or avoiding accountability? Am I honoring my magic or justifying my mess? Am I living in joy or acting out pain? And then listen to the part of you who knows, because she's in there. And she's ready to grow with you, not instead of you. Don't kill your light just to be respected, and don't escape responsibility just to stay real. You can be magical and mature. You can be playful and powerful. You can be emotional and integrated. You can be childlike without being childish. And that right there is where your next level lives. Hi, I'm Adeline Atlas, 11 times published author, and what you just watched is part of my signature program, the Chosen One series inside School of Soul. This series is not just a course, it's a blueprint for those who know they were different from the start. The black sheep, the scapegoat, the truth teller, the cycle breaker. Inside, you'll discover the family roles playbook, the golden child, the scapegoat, the enabler, the lost child, and how to finally step out of the part you were cast in without consent. How the black sheep becomes the goat, turning rejection into radical transformation and leadership. How to break generational curses and rewrite ancestral contracts so the pain stops with you. And how to recognize and escape modern forms of spiritual and technological targeting, from gang stalking to synthetic synchronicity. This isn't just about survival. It's about awakening, about reclaiming your voice, your lineage, and your destiny as one of the chosen ones. Click the link below to access the full series now, because the role ends the moment you decide it does, and the real script begins with you.